districts to really grow rapidly so that we have a lot of growth in areas which are keeping India backwards. So 3 things to my mind, really about quite often we get into sunset industries. We need to crack the next generation of industries, and we need to really focus on social sectors, and we need to crack areas which keep India backwards.
Okay, don't put the mic down yet. I'm going to ask you a follow-up question because you said that we need to focus on sunrise sectors. You gave the example of the electric vehicle space. Now, this was the stated objective of the government when it came to office, that we wanted to put the electric mobility engine, sort of fire that up in India. It has been almost 5 years now. That plan hasn't quite taken off. We had a conversation on the FAME policy and the new FAME policy. You expected that to have happened in January of this year, which is already delayed. It was expected last year. My question then is that you identify sunrise sectors, but then the action plan or the deliverable doesn't tie in with the slogan.
No, it's happening. We've had several rounds of very detailed deliberations. It's a new area of growth. So there are a whole range of issues relating to this because it's a dynamic sector which is constantly getting disrupted. So I think in the next fortnight or so, you'll have a very clear policy framework around this, both on the mobility side and in terms of the storage side. In fact, a lot of work around this has already been done.
No, but the larger question that I'm asking, Mr. Kant, is, and I hope that we will see this in the next fortnight because you gave me a date in January which has come and gone by. My question is that often we squander the opportunities that stare us in the face. We make the slogans, but we don't tie it up with action.
So, Shireen, these issues are, firstly, these are areas where there's a lot of global disruption happening, number one. Number two, you have to get into the right technology. And number three, I think a lot of interministerial work needs to be done. You need to do your homework right.
But isn't Niti Aayog now the interministerial hub? It's almost the new PMO in Delhi, right?
No, that's not possible. We work in coordination with a lot of ministries. We get driven by Cabinet Secretariat and the PMO. A lot of work on this has been done. And I think we are almost at the final stages of this. So you will have a policy not merely on mobility, but you need a very, very disruptionist policy on energy and storage. I think all that is finding a place.
Okay, so 3 areas of focus. Focus on the aspirational districts that have been identified, on the social sector and the sunrise sectors, not the sunset sectors going forward. Mr. Garg, if I could ask you, sir, in terms of the policy roadmap going forward, and we've got several big policy items coming up. We've got the 15th Finance Commission. We've got possibly the Direct Taxes Code, which has been sort of pending for several years now. We've also got GST 2.0 and whether we are going to see any sort of a collapse as far as the current multi-tier rate structure is concerned. What would you be watching out for in terms of the big policy triggers going forward?
See, I think India's aspiration is now getting very clearly captured in this big, I wouldn't call it slogan, but big ambitious statement of a $10 trillion economy being our aim and goal in a foreseeable future in 15 years or 13 years. That's what will drive our most of the actions and the policies. A kind of expression was made in the budget when a very multi-dimensional, 10-directional vision was also set out.
Yeah.
But in more concrete terms, if you were to come, I think the going forward from here would not be as easy, I would say. It would require a lot of action. So one of the big things which we'll need to do is to make all our factors of production very competitive. Whether it is capital, whether it is labor, whether it is even entrepreneurship, all of them. And there is a whole lot of policy action which will be required. And that is where what you mentioned will also tie in. So whether the Finance Commission comes up with recommendations, how do you share resources in a way where the productivity, the skills of the people, etc. can be raised. Or for that matter, GST, which has introduced a lot of competitiveness and has made our processes more efficient, our logistics more efficient. The next version, the remaining one of the reforms would also make it much better. So I think all of them would drive this bigger policy agenda to make our factors of production competitive.